if you look at what we're doing as a species, we're like figuring out how to digitize our art. That's what humans are like doing right now. Is like we've spent like thousands of years making like actual art, and then the internet happened. We're all like, oh fuck. How do we do digital art? And like, how do we keep the business happening? And how do we pay the people who make the art? And like, how do we get it to people? And if you're not printing it and putting on a disc or a tape, like after thousands of years of making IRL art, now we're making digital art, and we're trying to figure out how can I swear? Is that
Yes, you can totally swear. We're on the podcast, yeah.
We're like trying to figure out how the fuck to make art digital. And all these distribution platforms are solving it through the lens of the consumer and the listener and the viewer and the advertiser. Nobody's really going, how do we solve the art on the web problem from the perspective of the creators?
Hello. Welcome to the New Music Business Podcast. I'm your host, Ari Herstand, author of How to Make It in the New Music Business, founder of Ari's Take, founder of the funk band Grassroots District. I am at my home in Los Angeles. It's actually currently raining right now. Very apocalyptic rain, very suited and fitting for what we are living through right now. Depending on when you're listening to this is, I believe it's day 19 of the lockdown, the shutdown of the coronavirus. Haven't really left my place very much the last, 3 weeks almost. And it's pretty crazy. I've gone on a few runs, gone on a few walks, tried to keep my sanity, launched Uncanceled Music Festival. So if you haven't heard about Uncanceled Music Festival, check it out. I mean, it's one of the biggest things I've ever done. And we put this together with a couple friends in like 10, 12 days, and we've already gotten written up by Billboard 3 times, Rolling Stone, Variety, all the stuff. Humble brag. It's pretty dope to be in Rolling Stone, I'm not going to lie. That was quite a fun day. Haven't been sleeping much. That's because this music festival is kicking my ass, but it's great. In the first 4 days, we brought in over $50,000 for artists, music venues, and our charity partner, Music Cares, the organization that has set up an emergency financial assistance fund specifically for musicians who have been affected by the coronavirus crisis and had their gigs canceled. We also wanted to launch this music festival to help the music venues that we love that had to shut down because all live shows got canceled, obviously. So that's what we're doing with Uncanceled. We're not really sure how long we're going to keep it going, but we're going to keep it going, I think the plan is right now, until the crisis subsides. So anyway, crazy times we're living through right now. I did this interview with Jack over Zoom. He was at his place in the Bay Area in San Francisco. I was at my place in LA. It was nice to catch up with Jack. I've known him actually almost since he launched Patreon. I tell the story about how I remembered going over to his apartment when the Patreon offices were at his place, and that's kind of when we met. He is also the co-founder, I should say, and keyboard player in the funk project Scary Pockets. It's like a musical funk collective. I love Scary Pockets. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. They do funk renditions of popular songs, and they always have different musicians and singers. And the only 2 permanent members are Jack on keys, Rhodes typically, and Ryan Lerman on guitar. And when they tour, Jack doesn't even tour with them. It's pretty cool. And he's also the co-founder of Pomplamoose with his partner, Natalie Dawn. And we kind of dig into all of this stuff. It's Jack is a really impressive, inspiring dude. He's a musician. We're musicians. I'm a musician, but he's also a CEO, and he straddles the line between music and business, which we're all trying to do. And he does it insanely well, and he's extremely inspiring. I'm very excited for you to listen to this interview. Definitely one you're going to want to sit and listen to and tell your friends about. So, of course, please subscribe, follow, whatever app you're using to listen to this. Review. If you haven't left a review on this and you're using Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. They really, really help. Follow us on Instagram at Ari's Take on Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Ari Herstand on Instagram and Twitter if you'd like my personal stuff. Head over to aristake.com and sign up for the email list. Of course, you can pick up my book, second edition, How to Make It in the New Music Business anywhere where you get books. I guess you can't really go to bookstores right now, so order it from your local bookstore. You can do that. Support your local bookstore or order from Amazon. That's cool too. Weird times we're living in, but Jack will brighten your day and lighten you up, lift you up. So let's kick to my interview with Jack Conte. Welcome to the show, Jack Conte. First edition of the quarantine sessions of the New Music Business podcast. Obviously was not planning to do the quarantine sessions. I don't think any of us were planning any of this quarantine session work. But you have a beautiful location where you're at. Where are you right now?
I'm in my home studio in my house, which is not a bad place to be.
Not bad at all. And you're in the Bay Area?
Yeah,
okay,
we're
cool.
in the Bay. We've been here. I've lived in the Bay my whole life.
Yeah. So I remember I was up there. Gosh, it must have been like When did Patreon get started? What year was that?
2013, May 7th, we launched.
And then when did you move the place out of your house?
When did we move Patreon out of my house?
Patreon out of your house, yeah.
So that's a funny story. We didn't have an office at first, so it was me working from my house and Sam working from his house for probably the first, May until like October, November. So maybe like 4, 5, 6 months, somewhere around there. And then we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, and the whole team would come over to that 2-bedroom apartment. We got up to 12 in that apartment, and then
I was there, and then you did. I remember because I was there right before, like a month before you left that 2-bedroom apartment. You had this long table stretched out in the like dining room where everybody was working. I was out with Tyler wanted to show me the roof, and so we had to go through your bedroom where you were interviewing somebody. I think you're interviewing somebody to come on the team. We're like, don't mind us, but the roof is this way, and so we had to walk through the room and mid-meeting, we like just walk through your meeting, we climb out the window, climb up the fire escape, and then go onto the roof. I'm like, this is awesome. And then we can see the whole,
it was pretty startup-y in the beginning. We were scrappy.
I love it. So what's so cool and interesting to me about you and Jack, you're one of the most inspiring people that I've ever come in contact with. And so it's like, it's just an honor to have you here today and like just to hear from you, because you're a musician and you kind of pivoted into CEO role. And it's like similar, like I'd been a singer-songwriter musician for many years, and similarly kind of shifting, evolving, also like straddling, I guess, because like what I love about you is that you've never lost yourself as a musician. You've continued the music through everything. And, you know, most people, of course, knew you as Pomplamoose and then doing your solo stuff, the solo videos, which were spectacular. And now with Scary Pockets, which is something that is just completely taken on a life of its own. What made you continue the music through the Patreon, through like as Patreon's growth? Because understanding Patreon is just like it's probably you're taking 3 jobs in one and 3 full-time positions in one as yourself, if not 16. But then you're also an artist and a musician, and you decided to keep the music going. What was that decision, and how did you come to that, and like where are you at now with it?
Yeah, there's probably 3 things there. So the first is in my 20s, I was a full-time musician, and you know, making it work too, like figuring out ways to get paid and figuring out, you know, selling MP3s. And Natalie and I, you know, we bought a house off of MP3 sales and built a recording studio. And but in all through my 20s, I kind of swore to myself, I was like, I'm not going to be one of those people that's a musician in their 20s and then becomes a businessman in their 30s. And then, oh boy. So I guess part of it is that like I'm staying true to that promise, right? Like I think to say that I'm just a business person now, like, you know, actually like between Pomplamoose and Scary Pockets, those efforts make more money than I make as a CEO. You know?
Wow.
So I still like, and I feel a lot of like pride around I feel like, gosh, we've like figured out some ways. We've like struggled through the ups and the downs of different platforms and Spotify and
Right.
YouTube and
Right.
ad revenue, and oh my god, and somehow
Right.
we've kept trying to like adapt and make it work. And so, yeah, I guess I still want to stay true to that promise. Like, I don't want to just be a business person in my 30s after being an artist in my 20s. I think that there's like still a piece of me that's like, no fucking way. Like, I'm not going to let that happen to myself.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Maybe the second thing is like, God, so many, I feel like these distribution platforms that exist today are so fucked. And
How so?
they're not made for creative people. They're made for advertisers or for listeners. And it's not that that's
define
bad.
what you mean distribution platforms.
Places
You don't
where
mean
artists,
like DistroKid, CD Baby, TuneCore
No.
distribution. Oh,
no,
got it.
no.
Okay.
No,
do you mean?
those are made for artists. I mean
Right.
places where artists find a following.
Ah, right. Like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. That's what you're meaning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
absolutely.
those platforms where you can literally distribute your work as a creator.
Right.
Like those are products that advertisers use.
yes.
At the end of the day, advertisers and listeners.
Great
and
for fans, challenging for creators.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And pretty much like, if you look at what we're doing as a species, we're like figuring out how to digitize our art. That's what humans are like doing right now. Is like we've spent like thousands of years making like actual art, and then the
Yep.
internet happened. We're all like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
How do we
yeah.
do digital art? And like, how do we keep the business happening? And how do we pay the people who make the art? And like, how do we get it to people? And if you're not printing it and putting on a disc or a tape, like after thousands of years of making IRL art, now we're making digital art, and we're trying to figure out how can I swear? Is that
yes. You can totally
Okay.
swear. We're on the podcast. Yeah.
we're like trying to figure out how the fuck to make
Right.
art digital. And all these distribution platforms are solving it through the lens of the consumer and the listener
Right.
and the viewer and the advertiser. Nobody's really going, how do we solve the art on the web problem from the perspective of the creators, right? And so I don't want to lose track of that lens as a CEO. Like I'm in a very weird, like it is, I never predicted I would be running a tech company, like so bizarre. And like what a privilege that I'm a creator and I'm a creative person and I'm coming from that background and that perspective. I don't want to lose touch with where I came from and why we started this in the first place. And I think keeping my creativity up during that time is so important because Patreon exists for creators. So that's the other big reason.
Right. And I love that, because that's what's so challenging for me when I talk to a lot of startup founders who run companies that are built for creatives or artists, musicians, and they don't come from a creative background, but they come from a business background or a startup background, and they're like serial entrepreneurs or whatever, and they don't have the empathy. The empathy is so crucial because they don't know what it's like to spend 50 hours making a song and then putting that song out and having only less than 1,000 streams on Spotify, the number there, or 631 views on YouTube. And then you feel defeated, even though you feel it's like a beautiful piece of art. And they don't get that. That's like something that we struggled through and that we know about. And like to have that, artist creator empathy going into it, like it's nice to see that you've maintained that. So I'm curious because I know how Patreon, the mission initially of why you started is because you were making videos on YouTube and you weren't making much from the ad revenue. You're saying this is not working. We're making millions of views on YouTube and we're just not, it's just not, the revenue's not there. And so you're like, let's create a different model for the fan artist relationship. I'm curious to hear from your perspective now that Patreon is 7 years into it or so, how you've seen the artist fan relationship evolve from the initial intention behind it and where you see it going from here.
What a cool question. Yeah, I would say there's a couple trends that I think are happening. The first is it's getting more intimate. Like the artist-fan relationship is getting more intimate. If you're looking at the 20-year trend, I would say that's pretty clear. If you're looking just in the last 2 years, you can kind of miss it. But if you look at, the big acts of 20 years ago, probably a big component of that was kind of the separation of the act from the fan. It was the mystery, the mystique, that was the selling point, the sexiness of like the genius who lives on a cloud and barfs out art occasionally for us all to kind of enjoy once or twice a year. And like, who knows how they made it or what they used or like, and now we got freaking Deadmau5 doing live streams showing, his outboard gear and like, his release time for sidechain compression. You're like, fuck, I can't believe I get to watch Deadmau5 telling me about sidechain compression. Like, it's awesome. And so I think that's the larger trend is like the relationship is getting more intimate and more close, obviously thanks to a lot of the connection tools of the internet, the social platforms, etc. So one is closeness. Maybe two is like different than closeness is also community management. And this is a skill set that not a lot of artists want to like build or do. A lot of artists are like, look, I want to make art. Like, I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to like run a community and like, and that's totally okay. Like, not everybody has to do that. But I will say the way the web is set up right now, with these community-driven platforms, engagement-driven platforms, the artists who lean into that and who learn how to manage a community, those artists, I think, end up doing really well. And that changes the nature of the fan-creator relationship.
Do you think that it's required now of artists to learn to be community leaders and managers of community?
No. And the reason I say that is because when I was trying to figure out how to do all this in the first place 15 years ago, I met so many people who are like, look, if you want to be an artist, you gotta fill in the blank. And they're all fucking wrong. Everybody has their own opinion, and there's a million ways to skin a cat, and the web is ripe for innovation and do whatever you want, and anybody can find their own way. So there are artists who are still figuring out how to do it in new, unique ways and still maintain the mystery and the mystique, and they're able to kind of not do those extra things that they don't want to do. There's a boatload of artists who are doing that. So at the end of the day, it's just kind of what you want to do. Now, I think it's easier if you lean into the community stuff. I think it's more likely that you like that can start to be a flywheel.
And I think you can do it in your own way. And I think, where a lot of artists get caught up is, Amanda Palmer has been like the success story of so much of Kickstarter and now Patreon, and she's like held up and like, people look at her and they're like, she literally gets naked at concerts and like figuratively is naked on the internet. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I can't do that. I don't want to get naked in front of my audience on Twitter, on Instagram, and at my shows. And it's like, but she's insanely successful with community engagement and leadership. But then you look at how I've been seeing it evolve, like, Wolfpack is a great example of how they've been able to engage their community in a way where Jack isn't Amanda Palmer, Jack, and Jack Stratton, the leader of Wolfpack, he's not going up there, hey guys, how's it going? Hope your day is going well, but he's done it in a way, it's like in this like nuanced, geeky musician way, targeting geeky musicians, understanding like the audience, who they are and what gets them excited. And so it's like, I think, we're starting to see artists like look at what their strengths are and kind of capitalize on those strengths to engage a community. But you do have to understand who you're targeting. You can't just be like, I'm going to try to target the entire world and carpet bomb the entire world, and hopefully some of those people will love me, because like the artists that seem to do the best are the ones who confidently say who they're not and what they're not about, because then the people who are into what they are doing are so much more loyal to that. Yeah,
that makes a ton of sense. And I agree. I think, when Pomplamoose came out and did our thing, we got so much hate, right? Because it was a real specific thing. It was like soft vocals over these like crazy beats and like loud distorted sounds and like, and a lot of people just were like, nope, not for me. But honestly, those like the videos that were most hated were also the ones, and when I say most hated, I mean the ratio of likes to dislikes was like 80-20. And like usually when you upload a YouTube video, the ratio of likes to dislikes is pretty high. But sometimes one of our videos would get a boatload of spread, and we'd see like it would get onto Reddit and it'd get a bunch of hate, but then it would go viral. And we developed, like, for all of the hate, we probably developed 5 times as much like fervor and love for what we were doing. And I think it was almost the kind of divisiveness of the videos that spawned that kind of intensity of like loyalty and excitement around it. So
because you have these people to battle the haters out there for you, because they're like, what? We have to stand up for our favorite band here.
Yeah. There's kind of like who was it that was telling me there's a difference between a badge and a beacon? And like, and the idea was like a badge is like if you wear a Nike hat, like that's a badge. It like doesn't say too much about your identity. But if you're wearing a Wolfpack tee with their tour from 10 years ago or 5 years ago, that's a beacon, and that says who you are. It tells other people who you are and what you care about and what matters to you. That's like a beacon of identity. And that was that's sort of like a really special comparison, I think, because there's a lot about fandom, I think, that spawns from identity, right? For the things that you love. If other people hate them and you love them, that just says something about you.
So how do you how have you seen Pomplamoose fans showcase their love for the band, and what are the beacons that they do? Because you've only done one tour? How many tours have Pomplamoose done?
Pomplamoose has probably done maybe like 5 to 10 tours, something like that. Okay.
And then and when was the last tour that you guys did? It's been a minute.
We did a tour in the fall of 2019, so about 5 months ago.
Great. So when you are out in the world and you're kind of meeting these people, what are you noticing in like that how are they showcasing their love for Pomplamoose, and what do you think that says about the community and about you guys?
Yeah, can I do a screen share?
Please.
So
that'd be awesome.
So because the video is recording, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let me see if I can figure out how to do this. Here we go. Boom. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Do you see that like flash drive there?
Yes. Pomplamoose. Yes.
Yeah. So that flash drive, a fan uploaded, one of our patrons uploaded that photo in our Discord community recently. Okay. Actually, it was this morning at 7:39 a.m.
What's a Discord community?
So Discord is like Slack, but for teams. Slack, but for communities.
Oh, okay.
Slack is like for teams. Discord is like chat and with channels and hangout sessions, but specifically for groups. If you're not hip to Discord, you gotta fucking check this out.
I'm gonna check it out. Discord, okay.
25% of Patreon creators use Discord.
Wow.
Have installed our Discord plugin. It's like a very popular partnership and plugin. Amazing. So Discord is a community, and it's basically like if Twitter is a public square, Discord's a living room. Gated, walled off community for patrons only.
Love it.
One of our patrons posted this thumb drive, this flash drive in our Discord community and said, "Who has one of these?" Now, that is a freaking beacon, because that is a flash drive from, it must be like 8 or 9 years ago when Natalie and I put all of our music on a flash drive, all of our music at the time. And we said, we're selling these flash drives for $25. You can get a flash drive. We'll mail you one in the mail. We'll sign it. We signed these flash drives. Wow. And so this person put it in our Discord community, which means they're an OG fan, right? They're OG. And so they get props from other people. They get props from Pomplamoose, because we're like, oh shit, you're an OG fan. That's a beacon.
Yep. That's cool. So Well, when did the Discord partnership and when did you start seeing that? Because that's an evolution of how creators are engaging with their fans. But it sounds like it's even a way for the community to just engage with each other. So the burden, I don't want to call it a burden, but like the responsibility to keep the community engaged doesn't solely fall on the creator, which is, I think, something that holds up a lot of creators and artists, is that like they do feel like it's a burden and it's such a responsibility. That's an interesting evolution. When did that kind of come to be, and what else have you found that ways community are engaging each other?
Okay, we got to talk about that. I'm so glad you brought this up. So Discord, we did a Discord partnership maybe like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
So now, we have a pretty seamless integration. So when somebody becomes a patron, they get notified that they have access to the Discord server, and they can just join the server and download the Discord app, and then they're in. And yeah, that was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. We've seen creators slowly, not so slowly, start to adopt it to the point where it's become very clear that it's something that creators really, really love, and it's a place where they can have these patron-only communities that are really meaningful and impactful. And you're absolutely right in terms of the dynamic of Discord. One thing that creators love about Discord is I think it shines a light on what is actually happening, where it's, yes, some fans want that one-to-one, many fans want one-to-one interaction with the creator.
Sure.
Like, who doesn't? Like, I would love to meet some of my favorite artists, of course.
Right.
But even more than that, to meet like-minded people who are wearing the same beacons that you are, that's like a real joy to like meet other people and to get to hang out with them. Like, we have Discord servers. There's this one crew called the Carlin Brothers, and their community is so tight that over the course of 2018, that community, it was only 800 people. They made 1.2 million posts in their Discord server. 800 people.
Whoa.
1.2 million posts. They like got together and like bought the creator, they bought one of the community moderators, not the creator. They bought one of the community moderators winter boots. Another one of the community mods had a birthday, and so they got together and bought him a camera lens because he had written about how his camera lens was broken or something.
Wow.
They make a Discord yearbook every year. They like take snippets of
my gosh.
funny times that like, here's where we started using this meme, and here's where this was born, and here's where this emoji came from, and and they group it all and they create a yearbook every year. Like, these are amazing communities, and you're absolutely right. It's not like all this is generated by the creator. It's generated by the fans, because the truth is fans love rallying together around the creator. They don't have to rally with the creator. They love rallying together around the creator.
So we've seen that, through the years. Like, I used to be in the Dave Matthews Band fan club, the Warehouse, back in high school, and you'd see like these fan communities pop up through fan clubs that didn't need to involve the creator. I think, and that's nice to see that it's still, there is that community bond that doesn't necessarily need to interface directly one-on-one with the creator. Now, how is Discord different from just a private Facebook group? Because I've seen other people do private Facebook groups, which also works pretty well too.
Yeah, it's just that it's less of a manual process, right? Discord is the way we've done the partnership is it's seamless. So cool. When somebody becomes a patron, they're notified that they have access to this server, and then they're given instructions. So there's just an in-product flow. So they're taken straight into the Discord server, and then if they delete their pledge, they're automatically taken out of the Discord server.
Oh, nice. Oh,
right?
That's super
So it's
helpful.
it's all automated. So the creator doesn't have to do any ongoing maintenance or work to kind of take people in and kick people out, and it just happens seamlessly.
I got to check this out. We've been using private Facebook groups for Ari's Take Academy, and it is very manual.
Yeah, no.
Very challenging.
Discord literally removes all of that labor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Amazing. So, okay. I mean, I love that, and that's super cute about the yearbooks. What else, like in terms of, because the pushback that I always get, because I've been preaching Patreon's gospel for years, since I got on it right at the beginning, and just been seeing the growth, and I just love the philosophy behind it and everything that you're doing with it. Except the thing that I continue to get pushback on is that, it's too challenging to be that community leader, and I don't know how to engage in. And also, but what point Do I have enough fans to even start a Patreon? Because it's like, there's people who are out there saying, well, I don't have 1 million views and subscribers on YouTube. So what's the threshold? Like, what are you seeing where it's time for an artist to jump into Patreon and engage their community?
Yeah. That's it. That's an amazing question. I think it's the answer is somewhat unexpected.
Okay.
We've found that that actually audience size is not necessarily the best leading indicator of how well a creator is going to do on Patreon. In other words, if you look at the creator's total number of subscribers or total number of Twitter followers, that's actually not one-to-one predictive of how they're going to do on the platform. A better leading indicator, this is a more qualitative way of looking at it. We have some quantitative indicators too, but a more qualitative way of looking at it is like, how much does this creator love their fans and how much do their fans love them back? Like, if there's no fans to love, then okay, then they're not going to do that well on Patreon.
Sure.
But even if it's just a group of 600 people who watch your videos every week, if those people love your videos, if there's excitement and engagement, if let's say one way of thinking about this is like when you do a call to action, right? Like if in your video, if you say, hey, everybody, let's fill out this form together and then aggregate the data and like look at it together as a community. Or, hey, send me photos of your pets. I'm putting together a video of all my fans' pets. Or send me your favorite songs. I'm going to do a mashup of as many of our fans' favorite songs as possible, right? If whatever the thing is you do with your community, if when you do a call to action like that, if a giant portion of your community participates, that's actually the best leading indicator of like how well you're going to do relative to your community size.
Okay. So, and have you found that, because I know initially when Patreon got started, it targeted YouTubers, and that's where a lot of the engagement with communities were forming with creators. But how has that evolved outside of the platform? So where are you seeing these communities formed that then when they migrate over or to Patreon, or they bring their biggest supporters to Patreon, that they're super engaged? Where are they coming from?
It's everywhere. So,
Okay.
I mean, you're right. It started mostly on YouTube. But I mean, yeah, now YouTube is I guess one of, it feels like hundreds of communities. There's podcasting, there's illustration, there's tabletop games, there's a bunch of like Instagram folks and different types of Instagram communities. There's music, there's
well, let's talk about music, because that's where the majority of this audience is listening, and
Great.
most of my listeners are artists, artist managers, and I think a lot of them have been thinking about starting a Patreon, have a significant number of dedicated fans. They don't know how to get started, or if it's time, or why. So I get if the community is super engaged, just get started. But how are you seeing people in music transition that? Because if they're used to putting out music on Spotify, and maybe a video occasionally or something like that, and people love them and love what they're doing, and I think the thing that scares a lot of musicians is this, like, we've all run crowdfunding campaigns, and they're very time consuming and like very challenging. It's like, man, if I had to do an ongoing Kickstarter for the rest of my life, I would probably curl up in a ball and cry forever. But like, so how do you see that transition? Because it's more of this like mental block. Yeah. And I just don't think people have that guidance or understanding of how to transition it and what to do.
Yeah. So a couple things. I'll try and get through this quickly. There's a lot there. The first main thing is we advise creators to do things that are scalable. So not one-to-one things, but like one-to-many things. So something that will take you a half hour once a month, whether you have 500 patrons or 5,000 patrons. So examples of things that are scalable are like your live stream, your monthly live stream for 30 minutes where you do a Q&A with your fans.
Cool.
Or your behind-the-scenes video. right? That's like whether you have 5,000 or 500,000 fans, it's going to take you the same amount of time.
Not a handwritten lyric sheet that's signed and put in the mail.
God. Oh my God. Okay. That's not scalable. Right. Now, we have, so about 2 years ago, we acquired a merchandise company and we're building a merchandise solution on Patreon we're making it scalable. So,
okay, cool.
So, which I'm really excited about because a lot of creators want to do physical goods and physical fulfillment, but they don't want to have to do all that work. So we're basically taking that entire work stream off of creators' plates so that it doesn't cost them any time whatsoever. This is something that I guess is a little harder for a like Kickstarter type company to do because all the things are different. But like we know that like a lot of people love T-shirts, hoodies, tote bags, mugs, pins, and so we're just taking like all of that off of creators' plates so they can focus on making their music. So that's the second thing. The third thing is folks should know that like patrons and members are very understanding. What we've seen is sometimes a creator overcommits and they go out and they're like, fuck, this is it. This is my new life. This sucks. I hate this. And we're like, no, this isn't your new life. Go to your fans and tell them you overcommitted and it's too much. And then they go and they like apologize to their fans like, guys, I have to cut this and I have to cut that. And their fans are like, why are you apologizing? Like, cut it. Like, we want you to make music. That's why we're fans. Like, go make music. Stop spending all this time. And creators kind of, sorry, that's my Seinfeld version of fan. But you should make some music. Come on. So they are very understanding. They want the creator to be successful and they want the creator to have time to make music. So that's the other like key thing is like memberships are fluid. They change over time. You're not making a promise that you have to keep for the rest of your life. Pomplamoose changes our rewards, our tiers and benefits every 6 months. We change them completely.
Cool.
To just kind of keep up with the times. And then the third, the sort of fourth thing I'll say is the stuff is actually like the stuff that is most meaningful. Is actually really fun and doesn't take a lot of time at all. Like, I'll give you an example. This isn't even a Pomplamoose benefit. It's not even in our tier. It's just something I did in our Discord the other day. I put a link to a Spotify album that I really love called Pop Therapy by Video Age. It's this fucking amazing duo. I think from New Orleans or something. Amazing songwriters. It's like classic, like Paul Simon, Carole King, like amazing songwriters. Great production. And I love this record. And so I put a link to it in our Discord and I said, hey everybody, for the next 32 minutes, which is the length of this album, we're gonna listen to this record together. And I did an @ here. So like everyone in the Discord was notified. And we just hung out and we synced up. I put out a link to a web countdown timer. So everybody saw like 3, 2, 1. And then we pressed play together. And then we just like sat there and listened to music and talked about, oh, I love this synth. Oh, listen to that like beat. I love how they build in this chorus here.
Oh, I love that.
People started uploading photos of Pomplamoose videos that they loved. And then people started like asking me to upload like custom Pomplamoose emoji. And then they took them into Photoshop and they started making the background transparent. And then they'd send it back to me.
God.
And then it was like we had this amazing, creative, fun time together for 30 minutes as a community. And it was so fun for me. And I think our fans absolutely loved it. And like, it was easy and fun. And it took 30 minutes. And it doesn't matter if we have 5,000 people there or 500. So it's stuff like that I think is really meaningful and impactful.
And that's the stuff that people will remember for the rest of their lives and are going to talk about to their friends. They're like, hey, you really should become a patron of Pomplamoose. Like, this is so crazy what they did. And they're like, whoa, wait, that's unlike anything I've ever done. That's so cool. And like, that is what, because it's like, you think about the interaction that an artist has with a fan at the merch table after the show in the club. And it's like, to the artist, it's like, wow, it's just something that I did that, I do after my shows, no big deal. But that little like 30-second, 1 minute interaction, that fan remembers forever and they take with them, and it's so impactful and meaningful. And you're kind of like bringing that experience online to this community, and what's cool is you're able to scale that but still be as impactful, and yeah, I mean that's fantastic that this is like the mechanism for that.
And like when you compare that to like running a Kickstarter campaign, like, oh my God.
Whoa.
Like, I'm going online and chatting with fans for 30 minutes while listening to one of my favorite records. Like, are you kidding? Like, any day. Any day.
Any day. Oh my gosh. Right. I mean, we do that normally. It's just like, oh, that now this is just a way to engage the community. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Right. So, getting back to the I mean, you're CEO of Patreon. You're in Pomplamoose. Scary Pockets is a life of its own. And so for people who don't know about Scary Pockets, Jack started this project. It's a funk band that do funk covers of popular songs from all the decades and eras, with Ryan Lerman, who's a guitarist out of LA. Jack lives in the Bay Area, San Francisco area, and I think you come down once a month and you bang out like 4 or 5 of these recordings and then you head back or something like that?
Yeah, I fly down once a month on a Saturday, and we spend a day with the band in a studio, either Ryan's home studio or sometimes we rent a studio, and we do we arrange and record 4 funk covers in one day, and then we assemble them and do and release one a week.
And you have different players and different singers, and that's what's so cool is the only staple members are you and Ryan in every video, and then you have different singers, different players for everything. And what's even cool is the tours that are happening. There are Scary Pockets tours now, which you don't go on.
No.
One of the founding core members of the band is not on tour, and nobody cares. No offense, but like nobody cares because it's like Scary Pockets is so much bigger than just you or Ryan. It's not about the people; it's about the experience.
So that's that, and that was the founding principle of Scary Pockets. It was like Ryan and I didn't want to. We don't think of Scary Pockets as a band, right? Scary Pockets is. It's like I mean, I don't know what it is. It's a music business. It is a music business. Right. And there are lots of different people. It's kind of, Scary Pockets is like it's a vibe, it's a feeling, it's a type of sound. Like Scary Pockets definitely has a sound to our records.
Absolutely. Yes.
But it's always different people. And so we kind of guide that sound and kind of wrangle, and it's kind of Ryan's taste and then, and my and his sensibility for arrangement. That's some of it. But yeah, Scary Pockets is not like 4 members. I mean, we've done like I think 150 or 200 like collaborations over our first 2.5 years as a band. So, or did we just hit 3 years? Maybe 3 years. So I don't do the tours. Right. I mean, but it's not about me, and it's not about Ryan, right? It's about this. It's about this group of people and this sound and this community that we've created, and that's the way we want it. I mean, it's actually when you just said that, my heart just leapt for joy because that was the whole purpose: is that we wanted to make something that was bigger than ourselves.
Yeah. That's great. I caught the tour. I happened to be in New York when Scary Pockets was playing the Brooklyn Bowl a few months ago, and so it was very cool to catch the tour. And it was, pretty much all except for Antoine and Swati, like mostly LA. Like I was friends with everybody in the band, which is cool. It's like everyone on stage was a friend of mine. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a reunion right now in New York of all the people that, all the great musicians. But so I'm curious just to get a little bit into the nitty gritty of Scary Pockets, how you do that when you come down. So do you have the same players for that one day session, or is Rob Humphreys, the drummer, is coming in and he's doing one thing and then he dips, and then Tamir, drummer, comes in and plays the next song, and then Nick Campbell comes in on bass and then he dips, or how does that all work? Because it seems like just a coordination nightmare.
I know. It is pretty crazy. So maybe the first thing is that Scary Pockets is not only a lot of musicians, it's a lot of people now, right? Okay. So the Scary Pockets team is 15 or 20 people. From like content producers, admin, video editors, art directors, sound engineers. It's a group of people, that we work with to kind of assemble it all. And Ryan, is leads the whole thing, right? Like Ryan manages the team and the people and the pipeline, and on a day, on a traditional day, we'll usually have musicians, like the rhythm section will record for a whole day. Occasionally somebody can only make a half day, and then we have to swap somebody out, for the second half of the day. But for the most part, people stay the whole day, and then it's a different singer each time. And that's where it's hard to keep the trains running on time. So like each song, we have a new singer coming in so that we get variety in singers.
Right.
And occasionally,
what's that block of time?
It's 90 minutes to arrange and record.
From to arrange and record.
We go in with nothing. We don't even know the key.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, this is the song we're doing. So the singer maybe learns the lyrics and the melody, but like you come in and then for 90 minutes the band and the singer work it out, and then you're like, let's do a take.
And then we do 3 takes and we pick the best one and we upload it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's pretty wild. Now, we've gotten really quite good at that process after doing, 300 or whatever many it is, hundreds of arrangements in that short time period. So we're very decisive. We're very fast. We're not precious about stuff. We just record it. I mean, in some ways, it's very old school. It's very much like a 60s or 70s session. Just like set up some mics and let's do a take. And okay, let's pick the best one. And that's it. Which is like very free because I'm a perfectionist. So it's like a very freeing process for me. I love just letting go and what we found is we make a mistake and like the singer like forgets a lyric and laughs. Everybody writes comments about that moment. They're like, oh my god, the singer just chuckled, like that was magic. Like I because people are not
the Monica Martin version of the Colt Fix You,
that's it,
where she like the little chuckle there. It's like, oh, right. I just remember listening like, oh my god, right, that was it.
Because we're so used to hearing like manicured, processed, like just auto-tuned, and not that stuff is bad. It's just that's the expectation. And so when you see real people in a room making real music together quickly and like putting it up online, it almost feels it's pretty unexpected,
Yeah.
So that's the process. And then, after the recording session, there's sound engineers that are doing mixing. Caleb Parker's just an amazing mixing engineer. And then video people that are like assembling everything and making it work. And then folks, on the admin team that are uploading and making sure all the metadata is right and sending to DistroKid. And so it's a whole process. And it's essentially like a media company at this point.
Right, and you're kicking out songs, what? How often? Every week?
So Scary Pockets releases one a week, but we just started a new thing called Stories.
Stories, right, the acoustic ones.
It's the acoustic version of Scary Pockets. Same idea. This is another collective. It's just different people coming in doing different things. And Stories releases one a day.
One a day?
One a day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That man, I'm working with Justin Glasgow on my new record, and he's been showing me a little bit of the stories because I know he's very involved in the stories creation and process of that.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Wow. Okay. I mean, that's that's a process for sure.
Yeah.
So, but when you started, was it like Ryan doing the recording and mixing, and like did you have a video person also, or did from the get-go you had 15 people?
No, when we started it was super. We were getting 200 views or 18 views and uploading videos and we couldn't afford anything. We couldn't afford we couldn't pay anybody. So yeah, I remember what we did. Where's my camera? I set up my camera on a tripod at the back of the room. I'd be at the keyboard. I'd run up to the camera. I'd press record. I'd run back. Half the time, like, I just didn't look at the frame. And so, like, somebody would be blocking somebody else or, like, in the wrong position. And then I did the first probably 25 or 50 mixes. Oh, wow. Because we couldn't afford to pay anybody for them. And it wasn't until we started getting some Spotify plays and some membership revenue and some ad revenue and the kind of those main streams that we started to be able to afford to hire a team. But we did everything at the beginning. We did the whole the uploading, the engineering, the mixing, the video. We did everything.
Yeah, cool. So where is this all heading? Like for Jack Conte, where is the next? So Scary Pockets, you got Stories, you have Patreon, you have Pomplamoose. What is next?
I feel like I love making art. I can't not make music. I will. I've tried to not make music. It doesn't work. So I just know that I'm going to make music forever. So more music is next. I just love it too much.
Fantastic.
And then this new, over the last 7 years and working with Patreon, I want. Feel like there's. We started this call actually. Maybe this is a good way to bring it all around. We started this call talking about these distribution platforms and kind of nobody's solving this from the point of view of a creator. And so next for me is, what I want Patreon to become is a lens that looks at the world through the eyes of a creator and finds problems, finds moments where creators are getting screwed, finds bad deals, finds bullshit, finds hard things. And then I want it to have product and engineering and marketing and creator partnerships and teammates, and it's just a full court press on those problems to just obliterate them. I want Patreon to figure that stuff out and to build a more fair world for creators. So that's next, and we're doing it. I mean, we announced a couple of weeks ago, like when I in 2010 when I bought a house, the bank wouldn't give me a loan. They just wouldn't give me a loan because they didn't understand how I made money as a creator. And they said, send us your pay stubs. I didn't know what pay stubs were, so I sent them my iTunes reports. They were like, what the fuck are these? I was like, this is how I make money. And they were like, you're an idiot. This doesn't count. And I was like, fuck, I want a loan. And like the point of that is create like financial institutions and institutions in general, the infrastructure of society isn't set up to interface with independently creative people. And that sucks. So we announced Patreon Capital a couple of months ago, which is like a better way for creators to get a cash advance on their earnings. It's like we know how much the creators we know how much they're making every month. We have a lot of confidence in the creator and how much they're making because we have seen 2 years of data and we know, okay, this creator is going to keep making money. So we just give them advance on their earnings.
Love it.
And that program isn't scaled out yet, but that's exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about when I'm saying like we want to be a lens that sees the problems that creators have in the world.
And that's a big problem is cash on hand for a lot of creators. That's amazing.
Exactly. Cool. Yeah.
Yes. Nice. Well, Jack, thank you so much for being a part of this. I have one final question that I ask everybody who comes on the show. What does it mean to you to make it in the new music business?
Okay. I actually have talked about this a little bit, but I'll be quick. I don't like that. I would never say that I've made it. For me, it is a present tense thing. You're making it. And if you think it's past tense, then you're probably going to get screwed. If you think you've made it, forget it. Like you're making it. And just because you're making it now doesn't mean you're going to be making it in 2 years because the internet's going to change. Spotify's going to change. There's going to be new systems. The internet might go away. Something else might replace it. Video goes away and it's something else. Automated playlist, instrument, who knows what the fuck is coming now.
Right.
And if you think you've made it, think again. So I would say I like to think of it as like it is making it, and it's enjoying the process of making it and figuring it out and finding the next thing and loving the fact that, okay, YouTube just changed some shit. What does that mean for me? Okay, I got to figure this out now, and like being energized by that as opposed to like being defeated by it. Because I think so much about being an artist in the modern times is about having that like innovative, excited, enthusiastic openness to the world and figuring out what's going to work and what's not, and then just running full force into ideas and trying things and staying free and staying positive. And that is it by itself is making it to me. That's like making it. You're dealing with the barrage of bullshit and trying to figure it out. So yeah, that's how I think of it. It's not past tense. It's a forever present tense state.
Love it. Jack Conte, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been great.
Awesome. Thanks, Ari.